It was a concern, especially once I shut my bedroom door behind a coyote that had mange and was on my bed.
Yes.
Not a great feeling.
But before she went to go swim away, she turned back, looked at me. We made eye-to-eye contact, and she nodded her head like this and then took away and swam away.
We couldn't be more proud than to be standing here today and watching this fish sauce leave this community.
You are listening to Keep Canada Weird.
Handsome Aaron Airport. This is our coming home party. This episode, I think a lot of listeners out there are going to refer to this as a return to form, maybe our best episode yet. I can't wait to keep Canada weird with you by seeking out and exploring all the weird news from the past week. But before we do that, before we get into any of the exciting things we're going to get into, let me ask you, my friend, how you doing over there?
I'm doing very well, as I always say. No surprise there, I guess. I mean, if I was doing terrible, would you say that?
On a podcast, yeah, maybe we would have had that chat before. You're right.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't be recording right now if I was terrible. So
yeah, but here's the thing. This is our 226th episode. At this point, we're all friends. And on behalf of the entire Keep Canada Weird community and myself, Handsome Aaron Airport, if there's ever anything wrong, this is a safe place for you to bring it up. So don't whitewash your feelings and your moods when you come on here. We just want the genuine and sincere Handsome Aaron Airport we all know, love, or stopped listening to because of.
Yes, that's the latter is the key there. But I am excited right now because 1 week from today, I am taking over the numbers segment.
Okay. Well, hold your horses, because let me pump it up a little bit so you have something exciting to take over. I referred to this episode off the top here as a bit of a coming home party, and it's that in a whole bunch of ways. One of them is one of the big criticisms of the numbers segment is that it's always been international area codes or American area codes. Oh man, we're coming home. Let me allow a resident of the 226 to introduce this episode.
This is your Southwest Ontario correspondent, Kate. Our original area code is 519, but our overlay area code, which is something I just learned from your recent episode, is 226. My city in southwestern Ontario is known for phallic-shaped bushes at our riverfront. A vagabond named Rockin' Ronnie, a.k.a. Feather Hat Man, who was rumored to be a sociology professor studying homelessness in the city. We're one of the only cities in Canada where you have to drive north to get to the U.S. And another tidbit is that we're also very famously known for our pizza.
Thank you for the little tour of what I think is Windsor, Ontario. I looked up this Rockin' Ronnie, and I found a lot of posts about this guy, the Feather Hat guy, which she described as, she gave some background lore on him as maybe being a sociology professor who's living like deep within his research. I don't know if that's true, but this guy is a bit infamous. And I enjoy when like a local face has like the lore and the backstory that he seems to. So that was a cool introduction to Windsor as well as the number 226. I will tell you though that the 226 area code isn't only Windsor. We're also talking about places like London, Kitchener-Waterloo, and all the surrounding communities. So for all the naysayers and doubters of the numbers segment, that's a Canadian area code.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's really great to finally come home on the numbers segment. That feels good. Took us a while to get there, and it'll probably take us a very long time before we ever get back home for the numbers segment. But next week, Aaron Airport's taking over the numbers segment for 1 week only. So get ready. It's going to be a doozy.
I've been searching what 227 could mean in the context of Handsome Aaron Airport and found nothing. So I'm really anxious to get into that. But I'm also anxious to get into the special drink segment. We have some interesting stuff here in my hand. Let me show you mine. This one is a kind of a visual special drink. There was a spot in Halifax. It's called E-Joy, and it's like an Asian food market. And it's a lot of like weird and unique stuff that's been imported from across that great big pond. And they had a lot of unusual pops. This one is called a Pepsi Lemon Big Zero. I don't know what that could mean. It's zero sugar, and I assume it's like a lemon flavored Pepsi. but I've never seen anything like this. Have you ever seen this bottle?
Me either.
You take a sip?
No, it looks interesting. I'm curious of how it tastes.
I don't know if I like it. It's Pepsi, but very lemony. Like it tastes like you took like a half a cup of lemon juice and poured it in my pop as some kind of practical joke.
Would it almost taste like you see those carbonated lemonades often at gas stations, grocery stores? Would you compare it to one of those?
Maybe. If you had one of those and you put some Pepsi in it or something, I would say it tastes like I have some Pepsi in my lemon juice rather than some lemon juice in my Pepsi.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, the balance is off. I understand.
So let's see if you can take back the special drink unveiling.
Oh, I can take it back. I've got a doozy today, a doozy I've had on the show before, but rightfully so because I was out running some errands today before we recorded. And while I was out, I got myself a Robin's decaf coffee.
Damn. I'm jealous, man.
Yeah. And it's right at the point where I like coffee in all of its stages. When it's hot and fresh and you're sipping it down, but I sip over it over a long period of time as it goes through all the different temperatures to where it eventually reaches room temperature, which I also enjoy coffee at. So this is right at room temperature. It's like watching a fine wine age and then having a sip just before the world ends. Here we go. Room temperature, Robin's decaf coffee.
Still does it. Now, I want you to buckle up for this. We invited listeners to share special drinks with us. A listener named Ellis is going to share a whole lot more than a special drink with us, but it's going to set the stage for some disgusting stories to come.
Hey, A&J, this is Ellis again in North Carolina. Calling about your special drink segment. I was finally able to get my hands on some Cove soda. I don't know if any of your Cove coverage in the past mentioned that these are prebiotic sodas. I bought 2 of these. I bought a Galaxy Cola and the Pink Slushy. I had the Galaxy Cola last night. It was delicious, but it cleared me out. So you might want to add a disclaimer to those. I'm not going to chicken out, though. I'm a glutton for punishment, and I'm going to drink this Pink Slushy here right now. I'm at work. Hopefully it won't go through me too fast. But here, let's see. That is absolutely delicious. And I can't wait to see it on the other side. Bye-bye.
I think Ellis is pushing for a collab between him, Cove Soda, you, and the Dear John podcast.
Yeah, that is. No, he didn't specify exactly. He said it cleared him out, but he didn't say if it was the front door or the back door.
Okay. I don't want to think about that anymore than I already have.
Well, these are the type of topics we'll be addressing on the Dear John podcast, so you need to get ready for this.
If anyone's new to the Keep Canada Weird podcast, they may be opening their phone right now looking for the Dear John podcast. It doesn't exist yet. It's a pipe dream that Handsome Aaron Airport has had since the early days of podcasting. Give us the elevator pitch. You got 20 seconds. What's Dear John podcast going to be?
Dear John podcast is where I go into a person's home or their place of business and I interview them and then I use their bathroom and then I review their bathroom and tie it all into them, their life, their personality, their choices, and wrap it all up in a nice little toiletry bow.
Coming 2027 to all the streaming platforms. We can only hope. We can only be so lucky. But let's get into it here. I presented Ellis's voicemail as kind of an introduction to another gross story we're going to get into. We have to revisit one of the more disturbing stories we've ever covered here on Keep Canada Weird because it's had a shocking update. After more than 20 years of living amongst an abandoned factory filled with rancid, fermented fish sauce, the people of St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador are hopeful that the saga is about to reach its final chapter. Crews have finally started removing nearly 1 million liters of rotten, abandoned fish sauce.
This putrid sludge is finally leaving town.
This is capelin and salt fermented and sitting in vats for 20 years.
The first truckload of rotting fish sauce ingredients abandoned decades ago is now being hauled away.
It was a bit emotional, a lot of time put in this project, too much.
The smell has tormented people living in St. Mary's, Newfoundland for decades.
I'm even known as the sauce plant mayor.
The Atlantic Seafood Sauce Company first opened in 1990 with the promise of economic prosperity. But a decade later, after legal and regulatory battles, the owner left the site abandoned.
And the people of St. Mary's can take their town back away from this fish sauce.
Over the years, there have been health and environmental concerns, and it's been a fight to get it cleaned up. The province now agreeing to foot the bill.
We couldn't be more proud than to be standing here today and watching this fish sauce leave this community.
But the smell could get worse before it gets better, as this cleanup process vacuums out 1 million liters of fermenting, rotting fish that's been baking in the sun for decades.
This is the finished product.
Crews are now adding peat to the liquid to help solidify it before trucking it to a nearby town, where it will get stored in these swimming pool-like landfills underground. Airtight, vacuum sealed.
Very, very happy.
Waste solidified, now leaving site.
It's about time.
It's expected to take 200 truckloads to remove it all. Officials say the cleanup could stretch on until October.
I wouldn't call that story at its end or having reached its conclusion yet. We may still hear more about this fish sauce, but I think we're on the right track here. This is a great day for the people of St. Mary's, Newfoundland.
Especially when you think about how long they've lived with this rancid, rotting fish sauce in their community. Mm-hmm. And to be able to see a light at the end of the tunnel for them, it really is, at this point in time in the story, a fantastic, uplifting tale that they're weaving here in Newfoundland. But moss is such an interesting material, isn't it?
Peat moss, is that the same as the moss that we would see growing like on a dying tree in our yard or something? Because that's what it looks like. It looks like they took a bunch of that moss and they're mixing it in with the sludge to solidify it.
Yeah, I'm not sure of the exact differences between different mosses. I wouldn't be able to identify which moss is which just by looking at it. But I certainly watch a lot of survival TikToks where people are using moss and when they're building shelters and things like that. And it's just such a useful...
As insulation and waterproofing. And there's a lot it can do.
Yeah, filtering as well. And it's just such a useful tool that Mother Nature has gifted humanity.
Mm-hmm. Now, this may be a great time for St. Mary's, Newfoundland and Labrador, but I wonder how the people of Summerside, Newfoundland and Labrador feel about this, because what they're doing is they're solidifying the best they can all this rotten fermented fish sauce. They're trucking it to a community that's a couple kilometers, about a 2-hour drive away to Summerside, where they've basically built a large underground Ziploc bag that they're dumping all the sludge into. They're going to seal it up and bury it. But, like that may seem like a solution, but what about the people of Summerside 80, 75, 100 years from now? Are our children going to be covering this on Keep Canada Weird?
Well, this could be like the song that never ends eventually that you would hear on Lamb Chop's Play Along. Any fans out there would remember that reference. But yeah, it could be something that comes up. But this was the debate that was had on a regular basis here in Cape Breton when the removal and cleanup of the tar ponds was occurring, where they were essentially taking all of this toxic sludge that was left over from the steel plant industry, and it was concentrated in this one area where the plant was, and then they basically buried it all and enclosed it in this concrete case, essentially, and it's still there to this day, down below.
what we're hearing here with the fish sauce, it's almost like Newfoundland's version of Chernobyl. That's what I can't help but think about it. It's that big of a deal for people in this community. We heard in that news clip that mayor, the mayor known as the fish plant or fish sauce mayor, was literally crying on TV while in the background you could see trucks moving fermented fish sauce away from his community.
It's a bit emotional. A lot of time within this project. Too much.
It's a big moment. It's a Keep Canada Weird moment, but it is a big emotional moment.
Mm-hmm. Well, think of you're a mayor of a town that is covered in rancid fish sauce. That's going to be a daily complaint you're going to get from your citizens. So this must be something where he's like, finally, the phone will stop ringing about fish sauce.
Hopefully we'll never have to cover the fermented fish sauce again and everything just goes according to plan. We'll see, but our plan here on Keep Canada Weird, episode 226, isn't to focus specifically on the remediation of the abandoned fish sauce plant. We have a lot more to get into. Let's take our first break. When we get back, we're going to get into a duo of stories about animals, and we're going to hear from a variety of listeners who have opinions on what Aaron should do when it comes to vaccinating his cat, Ken Tiggs, after this short break. Handsome Aaron Airport, some of the favorite stories that listeners and correspondents discuss with us relate to animals. We cover weird news from the great country of Canada. There are no shortage of weird animal stories. Over the past week, there were two significant ones that I'm really excited to get into with you. Let's start in British Columbia. A man in Alert Bay, BC, ended up performing CPR as well as mouth-to-mouth on a young otter after it became tangled in a fishing net and stopped breathing. The pup survived, and now the man, the hero, has gone public with his story. And I will tell you that this news clip we're about to listen to is so different than any other I think we've covered. My hat's off to the reporter who did this, because they basically just put the mic in front of this guy's face and they said, "Tell us your story." Here's what happened, according to the hero that saved that otter.
A life's a life, no matter what it is. Try to do your best to save it. Right on the last end there, you'll see a little net. The sea otters came up, got tangled in it, and then tried to go back in the water. Two of them had their heads bobbed up, but the third one, the head was flopped over, and it didn't look like it was going to survive, but you got to try. We have training in CPR where they bring out the baby doll, and having that little bit of training just made me go right into reaction. Gave the heart a little pump. Nothing was going on, so I actually grabbed it, wrapped my mouth around its mouth and its nose, and gave it a breath of life. Watch her belly. She didn't respond right away, so I'd give her a couple more. Watch for the water coming out of the mouth. And when the foam came out, I figured, okay, the airway's clear. Laid the body on its side in a recovery position. They were going to take it down to Comox, get it to the SPCA, and they're going to see what they could do for it. I didn't know it was going to live or not. Brought it back 6 days later and said we're going to release it. So we brought her over here, and 20 feet from the water, we put the cage on there. But before she went to go swim away, she turned back, looked at me. We made eye-to-eye contact, and she nodded her head like this, and then took away and swam away. And I haven't seen her since. So she made it. I was glad because people saw her 2 hours after that. I left and said that the mother came, and they were reunited.
Wow. I was on the edge of my seat for that entire heroic story. I don't throw that word around lightly. This man, he achieved a feat of heroism, and the way he described it was incredible. And I should also say, for people who haven't seen this news clip, they had him reenacting it. As he's telling the story, he's like on the boardwalk pretending to give mouth to mouth and pump the chest of an otter, which is basically like a large squirrel.
What I really would have liked to have seen is while the TV crew was filming him reenacting it, which is he's doing CPR to an invisible otter in front of a camera. And so people who were walking by without any context to what this man is doing may have looked over and thought, what are they filming over there? Because at points in time while he's doing it, it could be very easy to misinterpret the entire thing. But
yeah, someone's like, these seniors with TikTok.
I've heard these seniors are out of control right now. And this one in particular, that's disgusting what he's doing right now. However, having said that, The man is a hero. This is a beautiful story. I don't think I've ever heard a story on this podcast before that we've covered that has touched me in the way that this story has. This man went above and beyond what anybody would expect anybody to do, for him to recognize that something was wrong, to jump into action right away, to remember his training from CPR with those baby dolls, which I've done before in CPR training.
Same.
But
then like kind of translate and convert that in real time to applying it to a sea otter, and to have the guts to go mouth to mouth. I don't know if I'd go mouth on with an otter. Would they not have vicious teeth like a rat?
Well, I would imagine that the state that this otter was in at the time, it wasn't going to be biting anybody because it was essentially on its way out. But this guy jumped in.
I guess that's what a hero does, though, is they put the person or the act or whatever they're doing ahead of their own personal safety. My hat's off to this guy. I do have to ask you, though, do you believe every bit of the story? Because I found the ending oddly cinematic. Let me just replay one short clip of it.
And 20 feet from the water, we put the cage on there. But before she went to go swim away, she turned back, looked at me. We made eye-to-eye contact, and she nodded her head like this, and then took away and swam away.
She nodded her head. So imagine they catch eyes with each other. The otter's just about to jump in the water, looks back at him, and nods her head's like, you did it. You did it, you crazy son of a bitch. And then jumped in the water.
I believe that this all happened, that the otter just happened to lock eyes with him, making sure that it was all safe for them to go into the water, and was just checking their surroundings and just happened to accidentally lock eyes with him. Maybe that's what happened. Or maybe there is some spiritual, emotional connection that these two beings will have for the rest of their lives. And maybe that connection did happen to cross paths there in that moment. Maybe.
I don't doubt the locking of the eyes. The part that I really question is the nodding of the head. Like if I saw you do something awesome, Aaron, like you saved the day somehow, but we weren't close enough where we could talk about it, I may look at you and nod like, yeah, you did it. I knew you could. But that's a real human communication thing. I can't imagine the otter did that, but if so, what?
Yeah, and maybe the otter just had a hiccup in that one moment, and it just kind of moved his head, and it's just a pure coincidence, maybe. But either way, even without that part,
hero with a capital H.
That's right. And I would like to know more about this man, and I'd like to know more about his life that led up to this moment. What built a human being like this?
Pure steel is what built it. This is a great guy. Again, I've said it several times, my hat's off to him. Let's move on to another story involving animals, and we'll see if there's a hero in this one. This story is going to take us not to BC. We're going to Toronto now, and this is one of my favorite genres of Keep Canada Weird story. It's going to include someone trying to describe a foul smell. I always enjoy when that happens. We're going to get it tonight. A Toronto family had a heck of a week dealing with baby coyotes. They spent one day trying to help two of them that got stuck in their fenced-in backyard. They managed to get through that unscathed, but a couple days later, the whole thing got much worse.
It all began on Tuesday morning around 11 a.m. when Alice Kent and her son Rex were alerted by their cleaning lady that an unwelcome guest got into their home on Pender Street near Christie.
She pretty nonchalantly called down to me that there was a fox in my bedroom.
Turns out it wasn't a fox at all, but instead a coyote pup that got into the house when the front door was left open.
We're quite shocked and surprised to see a coyote in the house.
I just heard a bunch of commotion going on upstairs. And so I go to see what's happening, and everyone comes down. There's a coyote in the bedroom.
And this coyote had mange, a skin disease that can make the animal look sickly.
It was a concern, especially once I shut my bedroom door behind a coyote that had mange and was on my bed. Not a great feeling.
Kent called Toronto police, and fortunately, staff with Toronto Wildlife Services were nearby on a coyote call. Kent says she spotted two coyote pups in her backyard days earlier, It's believed the pups were spotted in several backyards.
And I saw all of them shuffle into the room, and they shut the door behind them, and they just heard a bunch of like rummaging around. They were like making a plan to get it out, and then like 2 minutes later they opened the door. Coyote in the kennel. It was like, wow.
But the surprise visitor left a big mess in the bedroom.
Very stinky.
Yeah, describe that.
Yeah, it was like the cops, and they like popped the door open even just a little bit to try and look inside. You could get a waft of, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just like animal and pee and feces and like dust.
Now, don't get me wrong, like a baby coyote is an adorable animal, but a baby coyote with mange is not an adorable animal. This thing looks like it's out of a nightmare. Its fur was all kind of hanging off, and it was covered in like what looked like scabs and stuff. I saw photos of this thing. Mange is a pretty disgusting looking, like I guess it's a skin infection. But anyway, what do you make of this story?
Yeah, it's interesting. The news broadcast that I watched for this story prior to recording didn't mention the mange at all.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah. This got quite a bit of coverage, but of course, the story of a baby coyote winding up in a Toronto bedroom is pretty surprising. I'm not surprised the media jumped into this one.
Well, it just goes to show that depending on the organization covering the story, this is the same story that was covered by two different organizations. One chose to, highlight the mange aspect, and one completely ignored it. So
I think that makes a big difference because
it does. It's a completely different story now to me, because then I was thinking about, is that a concern for the people that are going in to get the animal out? Do they have to be concerned with, I don't know if mange is transferable from animal to human. I have no idea. I've never heard of mange before.
I've seen it in wild animals and stuff. Where I grew up in Cape Breton, we had a lot of like foxes and coyotes, and I remember seeing them look like they just crawled out of a nightmare. I assume it was mange, but a baby coyote that has been cleaned and vaccinated and maybe declawed, I would love to have sleeping in my house. They'd be an adorable pet. Like a coyote is a beautiful dog. It's just they're dirty as hell and not tame. What did you think of the description of the smell? I don't know why it was so bad of a smell in that room, unless the coyote was in there for a great length of time. But how do you think how would you rate their description of the smell wafting out of that room?
Well, they got quite literal with it. They said pee, they said feces, they said animal was a very literal term they use when it comes to the smell. But the one descriptor that they used that did confuse me was dust.
But it's tough to describe a smell. And sometimes you want to add, like if you see the people at the wine tasting and they're smelling the wine and they're using these weird descriptive words, like it's very woody, it's oaky, it's, it's breezy. You could say just crazy stuff like that, and other experts will get you. I wonder if there's some animal people out there, maybe some vets in the chat, who heard it and they're like, oh yeah, definitely would be dusty smelling. So I think it's just, we haven't experienced that smell, fortunately.
No. I mean, I've smelled dust before. I guess dust could mean a lot of different things to different people. So I would want more information on, like, they're using the term dust to describe the smell. When was the last time that they smelled dust? Where was it? Like, dust could be maybe musty to some people, or dust could maybe be just, the smell of an attic.
Yeah, for me, dust is more of a texture than a smell. And maybe what's happening with this description is that, they're describing a texture of a place that they smelled something that smells similar to this bedroom. So I guess we'll never know. And that's the beauty of trying to describe a foul smell on the news with a camera and microphone in your face.
Yeah. I picture this guy. He goes back and he's just hating himself now. He's like, why did I say dust? I don't even know what I was talking about. Like, I can't even sleep at night now. All that's running through my head is me saying dust over and over again.
Let's use this story as a springboard into a bit of feedback we got on our prior episode 225. In that episode 225, we heard the story of the cat that attacked the old lady, and then the paramedics came and the cat attacked the paramedics. It all turned out that the cat was rabid, had rabies, and that was a big issue. Everyone had to get shots and all this other stuff. You and I talked a little bit about rabies, and maybe we revealed a bit too much, and it became uncomfortable for some listeners. For one, I asked the question to you, do you think this cat will need to be put down as a result of having rabies? And then you revealed that your sweet boy Ken Tiggs has not been, according to your knowledge, vaccinated for rabies, and you thought that was okay because he's an indoor cat. Well, let me tell you, Handsome Aaron Airport, we have many listeners out there who know much more about rabies than you or I. I have a feedback of rabid cat attacks and Ken Tiggs' vaccination history feedback to play. Let's hear from Tegan, Brianna, and Daniela on rabies.
This is Brianna. I'm calling just to give you guys some information on rabies. Most mammals have potential to get rabies, but it's most common in raccoons, skunks, foxes, and bats. If you are exposed to rabies, the treatment is a series of vaccinations. I would recommend even indoor cats get their rabies vaccine, because if they get exposed and they have the vaccine on board, all they need is a booster shot.
Hello, this is Daniela speaking. Sending this message from Junction City, Kansas. Always be careful of any bites that you get from any sort of animal. And even if it's not rabies, there's a bunch of other diseases that can be transmitted by bite wounds. So we should always be careful and consult a medical professional in those situations.
Tegan and Ophelia here from Mississauga, Ontario. I just wanted to say, Aaron Airport, your indoor cat should absolutely be vaccinated for rabies. I've been a veterinary technician since 2017, and I have seen more than one indoor animal get rabies from not being vaccinated. You never know what could happen and if they could get out. So do yourself and everybody else a favor and get your cat vaccinated for rabies. Thanks, guys. Love the show. Bye-bye.
I thought that was a prior story was a good springboard into that, because I can only imagine a mangy coyote in your bed could maybe be a rabies exposure. But as we just heard from those voicemails, I think it's maybe a bit more of a risk than you and I realized. And some of those voicemails, they went on much longer than we have time to listen to. But what they described as well is this idea that although Ken Tiggs isn't an outdoor cat, there are times where he may get out, but there's also times when the outdoors may come in. Have you ever had like a bat in your house or something?
Never a bat, no.
Okay.
And I would like to come to my own defense here. I certainly wasn't insinuating that people with indoor cats shouldn't get a rabies vaccine. That wasn't my point of view. I was merely saying that I'm not 100% sure if he's had it, because I got him after he had received whatever kind of initial medical vaccines and operations that a male cat would receive in their younger years. So he had come to me after the fact. So I just don't have any paperwork to say that he has had it.
Okay.
So there's a good chance he already has received that. And and I certainly don't think that an indoor cat shouldn't get it. I was more just kind of stating the fact that I'm not 100% sure if he's had it or not. And he's an indoor cat, so it's not something that I'm generally concerned about. I agree. Every animal should have a rabies vaccine. But that's the reason why I'm not running to the vet right now to demand that he get one.
Ladies and gentlemen, we don't often get to hear Handsome Aaron Airport backpedal. In episode 226, we deliver. Now, Handsome Aaron Airport, I want to play you one more bit of voicemail. So we heard all about rabies vaccines and rabid cats and other animals. But I don't think we didn't in those voicemails address the feedback we got about whether or not that cat would have been put down, euthanized, I think is the sensitive word. I think this next voicemail comes from someone who knows what happens to cats who have rabies. And maybe this could be a cautionary tale for you. and give you the motivation you need to double check Ken's vaccination record. Here's Ryan explain to us his thoughts on if this cat ended up getting euthanized.
Hi, this is Ryan, your aspiring Northern Michigan correspondent. I'm also a veterinarian, and so I felt I could weigh in after the cat biting a lady and paramedic story. So Jordan asked Aaron, do you think they're going to euthanize the cat? So rabies is 100% fatal to cats and dogs, not just people. And if you caught in the story, they did say that the cat was confirmed to have rabies, which definitely means it was euthanized, because the confirmatory testing only comes from submitting the head to a lab, because brain tissue is actually what is needed to confirm whether an animal had rabies.
Oh, God.
Jeez.
Sorry. That was so dark, but I think what it reminds me of is we talk and we guess about these kind of things we know nothing about, where we're like, did it get euthanized? I hope they fixed it. We have a vet listening who's like, well, for one, it's 100% fatal, and the test is literally mailing the head somewhere. It just reminds me that we're such idiots.
Yeah, we certainly didn't know. I mean, we had assumed that it would be euthanized for the reason of rabies, but we certainly didn't know that the story had already confirmed, if you know how rabies is confirmed. So, which we didn't, and we're just graphically educated by someone who knows more than we do about the subject. But yeah, so certainly on when I bring Ken for his yearly checkup to the vet, I will ask if there's any record on file of him getting a rabies vaccination, and just take it from there. So
yeah, I think anything we can do to avoid someone like Ryan needing to mail Ken's head somewhere is a good thing.
I'm not going to respond to what you just said with any kind of acknowledgement or clarification or any kind of evidence that you said.
Okay, let's move on. Let's take our second and final break. That was a dark spot. Let's just put that behind us, go through a quick break here. When we come back, we have a duo of WTF stories that are sure to shock and surprise. And we're going to revisit the naming of the seniors behaving badly segment with a whole new collection of amazing entries into I guess it's a contest now. After a short break, we'll get into it. Handsome Aaron Airport, let me take you back via the Keep Canada Weird time machine to episode 205 of this show. Do you remember we heard the story about the heating company that ran a contest to find the oldest furnace in the Durham region of Ontario?
I do remember this. It is a story that plays on my mind daily.
Yeah, it led to a whole discussion about things just ain't the way they used to be. They don't build them like they used to, all that sort of stuff. They ended up finding a furnace that was 65 years old, I believe was the number. And the heating company that ran the contest removed the 65-year-old furnace and gave the family a new one that's probably already needed servicing. But all that to say, they've done it again. This same company has run another contest. This time it's not to find the Durham region's oldest furnace, it's to find the Durham region's oldest air conditioner. And the results are in. And I'll tell you, I didn't know there were air conditioners this long ago. Here's the story of the oldest air conditioner in the Durham region of Ontario.
This old air conditioner is being removed from a home in Pickering, even though it's still running. Buttons Heating and Air Conditioning had a contest to find the oldest working air conditioner in Durham region. And this unit, made by a company called Fetters, was still going strong.
Was it still blowing cold air? It was. I came here last week to do the confirmation. It was working and it was cooling the house very well.
Nigel Charlton says there were more than 100 entries in the contest, which included working air conditioners that were 41, 43, and 44 years old. But this model was the oldest working unit at 52.
Look after it, keep it clean. It'll look after you.
95-year-old Lois Kemp remembers getting the air conditioner in 1974.
I was just a teenager when it was installed.
Steve Kemp says he remembers when the family got the air conditioner and says over 52 years he doesn't recall it breaking down, not even once.
It's been there since 74, and like every year we've maintained it, we've cleared it, we've covered it in the winter. We've always cleaned it in the spring, make sure it's running top notch.
Winning the contest means Lois will get a brand new Daikin air conditioner. Charlton says it will be more efficient and save her money. With the new air conditioner in place, Lois is optimistic that it will last for many years to come.
Well, I hope so.
It's a good story because she gets a new air conditioner. It's a bad story because I'm certain she's going to be disappointed.
It just doesn't sound like a reward to me. They go on and on about how great this air conditioner is, how it stood the test of time, and all they did was just maintain it, keep it clean, keep it covered in the winter, and it's been working like a charm for 50 some years. So getting a new air conditioner sounds to me like a punishment. Yes, there's the argument of it that it's more efficient when it comes to your electric bill, I suppose, but it's going to break down in a couple of years.
Yeah, a better reward would have been like free servicing of your steam engine air conditioner for the next several years or something, because you got something. You're pointing at your brain. What is it?
And they took her old air conditioner.
Mm-hmm. Do you think the owner of this business is just installing it in his house right now?
Well, what blows my mind about stories like these is like, yeah, we're going to have a contest, air quotes, for the oldest furnace or the oldest air conditioner in this town. And the winner gets a brand new air conditioner. And we're going to take your old one, but the old one is better. So they're coming in and they're rewarding you with a crappier air conditioner. And they're taking your excellent air conditioner that has never let you down. And they're doing God knows what with it. So this just sounds like some dystopian experiment of taking people's good stuff and giving them worse stuff and then leaving them in the wallows and the muck to just regret their decisions for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, it is true. It is like we cover a lot of scams on Keep Canada Weird, so I think we have a good eye for it. And I think what we're both sensing right now is that there may be someone out there who has like a perfect 60-year-old furnace in their basement and now just got their hands on the most amazing air conditioner that time and humanity has ever created.
Yeah.
And what did they get in exchange? They got this, the original owners got these plastic disposable air conditioners. Yeah, they'll save a little money on their electricity bill, but at what cost?
They should be able to keep their old air conditioner because you know that new air conditioner is going to break and not be worth fixing in 5 years. And at least they'll have their old air conditioner as a backup that works perfectly that they can throw up and then continue to use. But they take it from them. This is a sad, horrible story.
Yeah, and here's another thing, is this company that's giving the furnace and the air conditioner, they sell furnaces and air conditioners, but I bet you where they make their money is on servicing them. And there's not a lot of servicing on a 50, 60-year-old air conditioner than furnace that's been standing the test of time. So they're making the money on the back end of this whole deal. I think a better reward maybe would be, here's a certificate. When this furnace that's lasted, or this air conditioner that's lasted you 50 years dies, bring the certificate to our shop and we'll give you this new one. But that thing is working like a charm, and we're not going to get in the way of that. I don't even want to touch it, because whatever God blessed your air conditioner, I don't want to get in the middle of that. Why take this thing out of there? It's absolutely insane.
The more I think about it, the more the story enrages me. It is a true scam. The wool is being pulled over these people's eyes. If I were them, I'd be getting my air conditioner back.
Absolutely. I guess this is just evidence that this story isn't what it seemed on its surface. I think the next story that I'm going to get into with you here tonight is going to be that same way. You may have caught this in the news. This was a big story. It made its rounds all over the place, and I got probably 50 requests to cover the story of the Porter Airlines flight being canceled because a child wouldn't put on their seatbelt. Let's get into it here. I don't know if you've heard about this. I'm gonna play a short news clip that introduces the story and tells about most people would know about it. But ultimately, it's about a flight that got canceled because a kid was standing on his seat, or climbing under his seat, or wouldn't put on his seatbelt. That's the way most people will describe this. Here's the clip.
A flight from Victoria to Toronto was forced to be canceled last night after a child refused to put on their seatbelt. Porter Air tells CTV News the plane had already left the terminal and was heading for the runway when crew members realized the child was standing in their seat. After attempts by the parent and crew to get the child buckled in failed, the plane returned to the terminal and the family was removed. The airline says the delay then pushed the flight past Victoria's 12:30 a.m. runway closure, forcing the flight to be canceled. The other passengers were rebooked on a flight today.
So it's a bit of a nightmare, as we just heard described there. This is like a red-eye flight, like the end of the night, last flight of the night. It ends up getting delayed because they couldn't get this child to calm down and get buckled in the seat. That delay led to the flight not being able to take off that night. So everyone had to get off the plane, go wherever they went, back home or to a hotel or something to spend the night, and try again the next morning. Of course, a lot of people were quick to jump on social media to point fingers at the parents for allowing this to happen, to suggest children shouldn't even be able to fly on regular flights. It led to a lot of social media discourse. But before we get any deeper into this, what's your opinion on this so far?
Okay, so I've seen this story, obviously, like everybody else, floating around in the universe of stories. And I haven't dug into it. So my opinion is coming from all I know about this story is what I just heard. That's all I've heard from the brief kind of little clips that I've seen around on the internet. And I know that people have been pointing fingers, like you say, at the child, at the parents, at the airline, at various different people. But so having said that, and having clarified that I haven't looked any further into this story, here's what I think about it right now.
Okay, yeah, this is we'll call this a hot take. Let her rip.
It may or may not be a hot take, but it's
well, I think a hot take is just literally like responding quickly and honestly.
My honest response right now is that it's not the child's fault, and it's also not the parents' fault, and it's also not the airline's fault. This is a situation from what I think is that none of us know the history of the child, the history of the parent, the history of the child-parent dynamic and relationship. There could be so many factors at play here that everybody who is complaining about the parents, about the airlines, know nothing about the actual situation. So my opinion is that I don't know enough to be able to say exactly who's at fault here, or if anybody needs to be at fault here. Do we have to blame somebody here? I don't think we do. Sometimes life puts you into a situation where the plane can't take off because the child can't be put in their seatbelt. The parent could have been doing everything that they could with the child to try and get them to do it, but the child just wasn't responding. And there could be so many factors that could be contributing to this child not responding that the parent may not be able to do anything about. We don't know enough. The only person that knows probably is the parent, is probably like, I'm not going to be able to get this child in their seatbelt.
I can give a bit more information here by hearing from someone else on the flight. And that's who I really want to hear from, because the people who would be the most frustrated, I feel, are the people who just randomly had their vacation change, their night taken over, or their, missed the wedding the next morning or something as a result of this situation. But I have a short thing I'm going to read where another passenger on the plane speaks out in support of the child and maybe gives us that little bit more information we need. Here it comes. Passengers aboard the Porter Airlines flight canceled last week after a young child refused to buckle their seatbelt are speaking out in support of the kid, saying online criticism has been unfair. Passenger Arye Kozuk said as it was happening, he was assuming that the problem was some unruly adult. Instead, he found that a young child was frightened, was squirming in their seat, and reportedly sliding underneath the seat in front of them rather than allowing themselves to be buckled in. The crew eventually returned the aircraft to the terminal, where the child and a parent got off with their luggage and a stroller. But the process took so long that the plane could no longer depart before the runway closure, forcing the entire flight to be rescheduled the next day. Kozak said that the child should not be blamed in this story. Now they're quoting him. This was a child that was in a tube with 150 people he didn't know. The kid was terrified, and their response was to try to hide under the seat in front of them. He also pushed back against people criticizing the parents for not physically forcing the child into the seat, saying the situation looked far more like a scared toddler that was overwhelmed than a child who was misbehaving. Despite needing to get off the plane after midnight and find somewhere to sleep, Kozak said his frustration is not directed at the child, the parents, or the airline. And that's how it ends.
Wow. Wow.
So by the sounds of what he says, it was just a kid terrified of flying. And what can you do? It's just that's a part of dealing with 150 people getting together to go on a flight. Not everyone's going to react well.
Yeah, I think his response, and I was really curious to, when you started to read it, of what direction it was going to take, but it took the mature route as well, where it was like, don't blame the parents, don't blame the child, don't blame the airline. This was just an unfortunate situation where a child was scared and couldn't put their seatbelt on and wouldn't be able to cooperate due to the fear that they had in the situation that they were in. And nobody else knows enough about the situation to be able to really weigh in properly on what should or shouldn't have been done.
I think it was just a lesson learned. Next time this kid flies, he's probably going to take some, his parents will probably give him some medicine or something before he goes on the flight so he sleeps through it. But it's a part of having 150 humans get together. It sucks. It's frustrating. It's very unfortunate for anyone who had their vacation plans switched around. It was an absolute nightmare for the parents, I'm sure. And the kids seem to have an awful time as well. So it's just a sad, unfortunate story all around. And yeah, I hope they find a way to get this kid wherever it was he was trying to go.
Yeah, well, they're probably going to start putting him in some flight simulations leading up to his next flight so that it's not so overwhelming maybe. But again, not our child, not our situation, not our problem to solve.
One last point to this is, in the big question, who's to blame? If not the parents, if not the kid, if not the airline, I don't know what any of those three people or groups could have done. The only other thing I could see, the only possible solution would be for the airport to stay open a little bit longer to let the flight leave the runway. But I don't know I don't know enough about what that would involve. And I know, of course, safety of airplanes is such a huge thing. So there's probably more moving parts, and it's probably best to have the inconvenience of needing to reschedule the flight the next day than to take any kind of risks that may involve everyone exploding.
Totally. Flights get canceled and delayed all of the time for various reasons. So this was just a reason that this flight got canceled, moved to the next day. When you think of all the moving pieces of an airline and an airport and all of the different flights and all of the different cogs in the wheel, I'm sure that was the only option they had.
And flights have been canceled for way dumber reasons, and reasons that justifiably would get much more blame placed on someone. But anyway, let's get to our final segment of the show. People have been waiting patiently for us to get to the main event of episode 226. Inquiring minds want to know what name we are going to choose for the seniors behaving badly segment. Up till now, the number one leading contender seems to still be Souring Seniors. Is that fair to say?
Souring Seniors is still number one right now. There are some close number twos, but as of right now, that is our main choice.
Buckle your seatbelt, Handsome Aaron Airport. Grab your pen and paper while you're buckling it, because we have a whole collage of voicemails from correspondents who want to let us know their idea for the seniors behaving badly segment name. Here it comes.
This is Emily Green reporting from Tawasin, BC. I think that you should call the senior situation Senior Siege.
I'm Jessica from BC. I submit for your consideration the Senior Smackdown as a name for our growing senior problem.
I was thinking, and stay with me here, the House Coat Rebellion. What do you all think? Let me know. Bye-bye.
Hey guys, this is Jordan from Carrot River, Saskatchewan. I work in construction. We have two older gentlemen who are kind of our laborers and our concrete guys and things like that. And we call them the OGs for our geriatrics.
This is Pam calling from Fredericton. My idea is to call it Over the Hill and Out of Control.
This is Shannon from Hamilton, Ontario. The perfect name for this segment is Geezergate, but, that's up to you guys.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's your buddy Zach from Pittsburgh again. I was thinking about a name for the senior thing, and I came up with the Seniors Cerebral Cessation. Has a good ring to it. Talk to you later.
We got a lot to consider there. Senior cerebral cessation. Is that too much?
That's a little too much. It's cool looking when you see it on paper, but it is a little tough to say. It's a tad of a tongue twister. So a cool name for sure, but just probably not a workable name for this segment.
Any standouts from that from that collage for you?
Certainly, I like Geezergate. That's a good one. Although geezer could be considered a derogatory term for our seniors. However, the seniors that we are referring to are problematic seniors, so maybe they deserve to be called geezers.
That's true. The House Coat Rebellion, I kind of enjoy, but I don't know if it's completely appropriate because a house coat I would associate with the kind of senior that's just around their house doing their thing. They don't need to get dressed to go out. The kind of seniors we're covering in these stories are often out there moving and shaking.
And I certainly love wearing a house coat around the house, especially in the fall and the winter. That is my house coat season, when it just keeps me a little extra warm when I need it, and it's so comfortable, and I fall asleep in my house coat quite often, especially when I have my slippers on. So, and I'm in my mid-40s, so that's the reality.
What about Over the Hill and Out of Control? Let me just talk this one out. I don't know if this is a great name for the segment, but I do think it would make like the kind of t-shirt you would find for sale at like a pop-up store at the mall or something. I just feel like it's a white t-shirt with like an AI image of a senior, and then in like plain text it would say Over the Hill and Out of Control. And you'd see just like some old man wearing it.
I see it more as the title of a novel, or somebody who's writing about the moral decline of seniors. It's Over the Hill and Out of Control.
Yeah, the story of the souring seniors.
Yes, exactly. That's it.
So we're still on souring seniors?
I think, although, again, some real whoppers here that are excellent. Senior Smackdown is a great one, too, in terms of saying it feels really good, but that sounds like we're punishing the seniors. When we're not punishing them, we're simply reporting on their issues that they're...
Yeah, a lot of good ideas. I would say any other listeners out there who have an opinion on the naming of the senior segment, Seniors Behaving Badly segment, go to thecanadiangothic.com/contact. Send us a voicemail with your ideas, and hopefully we'll have made a decision before the next senior act of rebellion occurs. But I think we've been through enough tonight, Aaron. You want to put a bow on this one? Is 226 behind us?
226 is behind us. Coming up next week is 227, and I can't wait for this episode.
Handsome Aaron Airport. Until next time.
Jordan, Bus Stop, Backhoe, Coyote Bonaparte. Until next time.
I want to give a special shout out to the people of St. Mary's, Newfoundland. I hope the stench is gone. And I also want to give a shout out to all the people out there with cats and dogs get the rabies vaccination if you haven't already. I assume it's an automatic thing. Penny had it when I got her. I bet you Ken Tiggs did as well, but let's all double check.
He probably has it, I'll say that. But I am going to talk to the vet. I have been convinced of that it is now more prominently on my mind. But Jordan, until next time, we will be at 227. I will see you there. Don't miss it.
I want to thank you for helping Aaron and I fulfill our mission to keep Canada weird. Now, if any one of you listening want to get more involved in what we're doing, we need all the correspondence we can get. So if something weird happens in your area, or if you have any thoughts on anything we discussed tonight, let us know about it. The best way to reach us is by using the voice recorder that can be found at thecanadiangothic.com/contact. Now, I'm going to start wrapping up the episode, but before we part, let us thank a few people. First of all, Aaron and I want to give a big thank you to all the correspondents who contributed to this episode. If your voice message was aired on the show, go back to thecanadiangothic.com/contact and fill out the form to claim your swag pack and Keep Canada Weird badge. We'll happily get it right out to you. Next, a big shout out to Unicole for the intro and outro voiceovers, and Monty Data, who provides the outro version of O Canada that you're about to hear. And then lastly, but most importantly, we have a massive thank you to every one of you listening, as without your interest and your support, this work would be impossible. And for any one of you out there who want to support the show financially and get more out of the show at the same time, please consider the premium feed. Our premium feed subscription costs just a couple bucks a month, and that money will fund the creation of new episodes. But the premium feed will also give you those episodes early, give them to you ad-free, and give you access to a full back catalog of Keep Canada Weird episodes and bonuses. You can go premium at thecanadiangothic.com/subscribe. And even if the premium feed isn't for you, you can still support the show by simply sharing episodes on social media. That's free, and it's a big help. So until next time, take care of each other, hug your loved ones tight, and please keep Canada weird.
And keep Canada weird. Please keep Canada weird.